Okay, can I just admit it right now? One of my favorite Star Wars characters has to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. He has to tie within, like, my three favorite Star Wars characters are Darth Vader, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Ahsoka. Like, can we just be honest? Grand Admiral Thrawn didn't need the Force to prove that he was an adversary to be. Grand Admiral Thrawn didn't need the Force. He didn't need that. We're honestly, in my opinion, that's a very good discussion. What if Grand Admiral Thrawn was the leader of the Empire instead of Emperor Palpatine? But that, well, I don't think. I've heard that he doesn't do good at political stuff, but he is a strategic person. He'd probably have run the Empire better, and all the rebels could have been killed if he was in complete control of the Empire. Which is pretty interesting to think about. He is one of the most sophisticated, smart characters in the entire series. Ten flaws of the TIE Fighter. Garbage view. Let's go. Garbage picture when you're inside the ship. No shields. No hyperdrives. Literally is weak. The pro is it collects energy. In my opinion, the best TIE Fighter has to be Defender. At least the ones on film. TIE Defender is freaking slap. Yeah.
In the back of the vehicle. On top of that, because of the way the wings are designed, they further block the vision of the TIE Fighter on the sides. So a TIE Fighter would be extremely easy to sneak up on, especially if the sensors were jammed or if it was involved.
We all know, because in starfighting, creeper's gonna creep. Armament. Two lasers.
These are quite potent weapons and capable of quickly stripping the shield of a similar-sized starship. It can even be used to strafe unarmored ground targets. But for anything larger than smaller unarmored targets, the TIE Fighter was more or less useless. It lacked any real anti-capital ship weapons like a proton or ion torpedo. Also, because the TIE Fighter only had line-of-sight weapons, they had to get extremely close to engage the enemy, exposing itself to danger. A quick fix would be...
My opinion, TIE Fighters are more of a quantity over quality. The mentality of a TIE Fighter is, it doesn't matter how good the fighter is, as long as you make something that flies and put a gun on it, and then you make tons of them, you will be successful. In my opinion, I like to have quality. I'd rather have one ship for every 5 TIE Fighters that does the job of all 5.
Just put a torpedo launcher.
The only con to quality is that enemies, like let's say if you send like 100 TIE Fighters at like a few ships, about 25 of them probably are going to get obliterated, but the other 75 are going to keep firing. Which swarm mentalities are great and they're bad, and that's why, in my opinion. No shields. They were one-hit killed.
Useful in that scenario. It's just not powerful enough to protect them from such a large explosion. Countermeasures and stealth tech are much more useful against large guided munitions, like we have here on Earth. But when the majority of the battles the TIE Fighters are engaged in are close-range knife fights using laser cannons, a deflector shield is actually the best defense, especially when you're in an environment where there's hundreds of pilots engaging each other. And at this point, it's not about whether you'll get hit, but when. A stray laser glancing off your deflector shield in the middle of the battle is not really that big of a deal. But a stray laser glancing off your windshield in the middle of the battle is a really big deal. As a matter for microasteroids, space debris, even cosmetic radiation could kill you. And when you're traveling several thousands of miles per hour, it's almost impossible to see such a small piece of debris coming at you. It's almost suicide to fly without a deflector shield. Now, the TIE Fighter is designated as an in-space superiority fighter, but it's also deployed in atmosphere as well. As its name states, though, the TIE Fighter is mainly designed for space flight. In atmosphere, it's basically an odd-shaped box that is somehow able to power its way through every law of physics. The only reason the TIE Fighter is able to fly is because of how powerful repulsor technology is in Star Wars. But what about area resistance and gravitational propulsion? These awkwardly shaped wings give the craft terrible drag in all the wrong directions. Now, I'm not a rocket surgeon, but I feel like in real life, a TIE Fighter would almost be impossible to fly, and it would also probably leave a very turbulent wake behind it. It's only because of advanced building materials, futuristic thrust capabilities, and inertial compensators to limit g-forces that a ship like this does not immediately go into an uncontrollable spin and rip itself apart. So if a TIE Fighter ever does lose power in atmosphere, it's basically just a flying rock. Well, actually, I think a rock would have better aerodynamic capabilities. There is one thing that saves the TIE Fighter pilot in that scenario, though. There is an ejection seat, but I'm not really sure if there's a parachute. So maybe that just delays the inevitable by a little bit. The giant wings on both sides of the TIE Fighter not only obstruct the view of the pilot and also make it extremely awkward to fly in atmosphere, it also serves as a giant beacon for sensors and radar. We've seen Star Wars ships use both sonar or radar-style sensors to detect ships, along with heat sensors. With two giant solar panels on the outside of your ship, you create two intense hotspots for people to track. When it comes to radar, however, the material that solar panels are made up of actually could absorb radar instead of reflecting it as much, making the TIE Fighter kinda stealthy. But unfortunately, the inside of the TIE Fighter wings aren't covered in solar panels and just serve as two gigantic paddles to reflect radar. So the TIE Fighter is not stealthy at all. And as we talked about before, dogfighting, especially close-range dogfighting, is all about seeing your enemy first. So having a gigantic sensor signal is not really a good idea.
Anti-theft.
So the Empire is really...
Literally, Zeb jumped on one of these in Star Wars Rebels, ripped the pilot out, and went to town.
Just downright stupid. And by downright stupid, I mean including an anti-theft mechanism which allows a central control system to scuttle a TIE Fighter if someone steals it. Now, I'm not talking about something practical like a remote engine switch. The Empire's anti-theft mechanism detaches the wings from the central pod of the TIE Fighter. So if that TIE Fighter is in atmosphere, you're basically losing the entire ship. And to make the matter worse, it seems like the mechanism that is used to detach the wings were just small explosives. So as if flying around in a not-so-aerodynamic starfighter that doesn't have any shields, that also doesn't have adequate life support, isn't dangerous enough, now you're going to put explosives in the wings. The TIE Fighter had a multi-purpose role. It wasn't just a war machine, it also had to deal with peacekeeping operations. This meant anti-smuggling patrols and pulling over suspicious ships. The problem is almost every starship in the Star Wars galaxy has hyperdrive. And because the TIE Fighter also didn't have a tractor beam, it meant getting away from the Empire was as easy as jumping into hyperspace. Just think about how many rebels, pirates, and criminals got away from the Empire because the TIE Fighter didn't have hyperdrive. Perhaps there was enough personnel and materials to start a rebellion. The lack of hyperdrive also severely limits the range of a TIE Fighter and makes it over-dependent on the ship
Some capital ships.
So let's say a kitchen fire destroys that Kazanji cruiser that was your home for the last few months. Well, now you're stuck in space and you're most likely going to run out of air before anyone finds you. And as we explained in our last video about Star Destroyers, because TIE Fighters had to be deployed from the hangar of larger ships, once they reverted to real space, it gave enemy fighters time to position themselves in a more advantageous way. Now, the official policy of the Empire was that TIE Fighter pilots and TIE Fighters were expendable. But that doesn't necessarily mean that TIE Fighters were unskilled. As a matter of fact, most of the time they outclassed their Rebel counterparts in both skill and training. You see, only the smartest, most talented individuals in the Imperial Navy actually were sent to flight school and then assigned as fighter pilots. We did an entire video that goes through what it takes to be an Imperial pilot. You can check it out here. And it's definitely not only extremely difficult, but it's also a time-consuming and expensive process. The Empire invested a lot of resources to find and train the right candidates. And these TIE Fighter pilots weren't just pilots, they were accomplished mechanics, engineers, problem solvers, and leaders. Most of them were mechanically capable enough to strip down their entire TIE Fighter and then rebuild it. So why spend that much time and energy training pilots if you're going to just end up putting them inside of a flying coffin? Seems like a really
deployment.
Limited by its design, TIE fighters were mainly used as a defensive layer around capital ships. Because of their lack of hyperdrives and long-range weapons, this often meant by the time they were able to engage and intercept enemy ships, they were already relatively close to their own carrier ships. Usually this meant the enemy was already within striking range of Imperial capital ships with proton torpedoes and ion torpedoes. Ideally, the TIE fighters should really intercept enemy ships way before they get within range of Imperial capital ships. On top of that, with the TIE fighters engaging in dogfights so close to their own ships, they effectively screen their own gunners from using their guns to attack enemy starships. This whole defensive strategy is really stupid. If you think about it, the TIE fighters are filling in the role that point defense weapons should have, and as we discussed before, Star Destroyers for some reason don't have point defense weapons. The Star Destroyers are much better off having smaller laser cannons on the whole rather than having dozens of starships randomly swarming across their gunners' firing lanes. Right after the rise of the New Order, the TIE Fighter was introduced, and for the most part, it was kind of adequate at its job. When it came to combat, it holds its own quite well against Clone War-era fighters and civilian ships. Of course, as we mentioned before, a lack of hyperdrive made it very easy to escape from a TIE Fighter, but generally it wasn't a terrible design. But as the rebellion began to grow in size and their ships became more advanced, the TIE Fighters quickly became outgunned and outclassed in almost every way. The TIE Fighter was not only no longer able to compete, it was becoming a liability for the Empire. I'd go as far as to say that it had more advanced fighters like the TIE Interceptor been stationed on the Death Star. Maybe the destruction of the Death Star could have been prevented. By the time the Battle of Yavin had started, the TIE Fighter was already 19 years old. It's kind of ironic that the mighty Empire was flying 2-decade-old fighters, while the Ragtag Rebellion actually had the latest and most modern fighters in the galaxy. The TIE Fighter really reminds me of the story of the Mitsubishi Zero, one of the premier fighters in the Pacific Theater during World War II. Limited by Asian technology and economic sanctions, the Japanese designer Jiro Horikoshi faced many problems when designing the Zero. He decided to limit the weight of the aircraft to such an extreme length that it actually became more maneuverable and advanced than any other fighter at the time. But this was all at the expense of protection. The cockpit lacked any real armor for the The TIE Fighter was a flying coffin that oftentimes erupted in flames. But at least in the beginning of the war, the Zero had an excellent kill-to-death ratio, around 12-1. But as the war advanced, the Allied powers introduced more powerful and heavier aircraft that were able to match the Zero and eventually surpass it. This story is a reminder that combat and technology is fluid, and if you don't innovate, if you don't advance your own designs, you're going to fall behind. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our analysis of the TIE Fighter and its flaws. We're going to take a pause on this series for an episode or two, but we will continue it into the future. Let me hear your suggestions on what you guys think we should tackle. We haven't really done anything outside of the Empire in the last 3 episodes, so maybe we'll do something from the Republic. Well, guys, don't forget to subscribe and that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today.
Men put their skin through a lot. Day in, day out. That's why Duff That Body Wash has skin-strengthening nutrients and moisturizers that help rebuild. Get 5 boneless wings for just $1 with any burger, only at Applebee's.
Hi, friends, welcome back to Now, before we begin today's episode, I do want to talk to you guys about something that's very serious. Scientists have recently figured out that dolphins are now passing on skills and knowledge to their peers and family members. This startling news came out after a few dolphin sympathizers rehabbed the dolphin and taught it how to do something known as tail walking. This gives a dolphin the ability to literally walk on water, a skill as far as we know only one human has achieved so far. These naive humans had no idea that this dolphin, once released into the wild, would go on to teach the whole population of dolphins in the neighboring area how to tail walk. My question to you is, how long do you think it'll take these dolphins to learn how to walk on land so that they can attack us in our homes where we live? Hashtag humanity first. Anyway, guys, today we're going to continue our 10 Flaw series. In this series, we take a look at many iconic things in Star Wars and basically do a very deep analysis on why they were poorly designed. So far, we've covered the Stormtrooper, B-1 Battle Droid, TIE Fighter, and Star Destroyer. So make sure you don't miss out on the rest of this series by hitting that subscribe button down below. After all, we are the only channel on YouTube that does in-depth analysis on Star Wars and is located in the United States and has a pro-humanity, anti-dolphin message behind it. And is got him out.
Super laser.
The Death Star was really just the fancy housing for the Mark I super laser. Actually, most of the technology that they needed to build the Death Star was already invented. The super laser was really the only thing that was quite complicated on the station. The technology focused around using giant kyber crystals to amplify energy coming out of a hypermatter reactor. Now, this had never been done before, which is why they hired a talented scientist like Galen Erso, although they had to trick him into believing that he was working on a sustainable energy project, which actually isn't all that far from the truth. See, he was able to make the kyber crystals create energy out of thin air, which is actually quite incredible. Here on Earth, we're limited by the law of conservation of energy, which states that energy can either be created or destroyed. The result was a weapon that could output a crazy amount of energy many times stronger than the energy source the weapon was powered by. Within just 3 seconds, the reactor at full power on board the Death Star was able to output as much energy as our sun does in an entire week. The result was a weapon that could destroy an entire planet. Even a single reactor ignition shot could devastate the giant swaths of the surface of a planet, making it completely uninhabitable. But the truth was, the Death Star at any power level was overpowered and unnecessary. Especially if you're trying to run an empire. Why would you want something that can destroy entire planets? Even though there were billions of planets in the galaxy, the habitable ones are still quite rare and precious. And there are many better ways to destroy your enemy than by destroying their entire planet. After all, you are an empire, you need more territory, right? So the Death Star was a project fueled purely by excessive amounts of ego and hubris. Even the Sith empires of old tried their best not to destroy entire planets. They actually had a much more humane way to cleanse local populations, primarily using precision orbital bombardments using turbo lasers from Star Destroyers. And the Death Star took an incredibly long time to recharge after firing, especially when it was fired at full power. Sometimes it would take 24 hours to fully recharge, and no, you couldn't get some gold coins and money to speed up the process. So let's say you actually do.
Took 20 years to build.
Maybe you're facing the Yuzhang Bong fleet with world ships, and the Star can upgrade to the reactor just like the Empire did in the second Death Star. This would increase the recharge rate. Now let's take a look at how we can make construction more efficient, cheaper, and faster. So like we said before, the Death Star station is really just an expensive housing for the laser. If you look at the size of the Death Star, it's actually way too large. It's 160 kilometers in diameter. It's completely unnecessary to be that large because the actual weapon is only around 30 kilometers long. See, the First Order actually had the right idea when it came to building super weapons. Instead of mining billions of tons of Durasteel Dunium, they just used the planet to house their gigantic star-powered weapon instead. And because the Death Star weapon is smaller than Star Killer Base, you don't really even need a planet or a moon, just a decent-sized asteroid to fit your weapon in. This would be much cheaper and faster to build, allowing you to potentially build multiple Death Stars. And that's a much better use of resources, if you ask me. Now, Disney canon seems really confused about what kind of protection the Death Star actually had. From what we can tell, it had multiple shield clusters scattered across the surface, similar to the Mon Calamari cruisers. This makes sense. With a surface as large as the Death Star, you want to have different sectors with different shields. That way the entire shield doesn't be dropped when you have ships coming in and out. The problem during the Battle of Yavin 4 is the rebels were somehow able to fly extremely close to the Death Star and even through its trenches, which means somehow they got through the Death Star's shield. In Star Wars, there are 3 different types of shields. First, you have your particle shields, and that stops physical objects like torpedoes or starfighters. The second type of shield is a ray shield, which stops energy-based weapons like a blaster bolt. And the third type of shield is a plot shield, which protects protagonists from dying when they do stupid stuff like this. While it's possible to get through the ray shield while moving relatively slow, it doesn't seem to make sense that the Death Star would only be protected by ray shields. It should have particle shields as well. After all, almost every military ship has a combination of the 2 shields, including a navigational shield, which could stop space debris. Now, we do know that the Rebels pass through electromagnetic field, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's associated with a deflector shield. Which really is confusing because, as we've seen on Scarab, the Empire's technology to build planet-sized shields many times larger than the Death Star, and also include many gates in the shield so that ships can come in and out. And as we saw in Rogue One, the shield is able to stop all sorts of attacks, including starfighters trying to fly through it. The second Death Star also had a similar defense. And if the generator inside the Death Star is powerful enough to create as much energy as the sun does in 7 days, I think it's powerful enough to power a planetary shield. So let's just say that the Empire decided not to put a giant shield generator on the Death Star. Maybe it's too expensive, maybe they're too confident in its design. Who knows? How else can you protect the Death Star? Well, there's over 15,000 turbo lasers and 768 tractor beams scattered across the surface of the ship. That's enough firepower to engage multiple fleets and win. But the problem with these giant turbo lasers was they just weren't fast enough to track smaller fighters. They also were fired by gun crews instead of being automated with advanced tracking devices. And then, surprisingly, there's no point defense weapons. Although that's kind of a problem on almost every Imperial ship larger than a light cruiser. This is how a few dozen Rebel snub fighters were able to infiltrate the surface and exploit its design flaw. The only defense that the Death Star had against starfighters was the TIE Fighter, and well, we've made a whole video about why they weren't all that great either.
Escort.
Now, even though the Death Star had 15,000 turbo lasers, it was kind of odd that no permanent fleet was assigned to it. As good as the defense on board was against other capital ships, it's always better to intercept the enemy before they reach their target. As we all know, the Death Star was impressive and large, but vulnerable because it lacked shields and point defense weapons. The defensive fleet could also help outflank enemies that were engaged in the Death Star. They can also be used for away missions or patrolling the nearby area and screening the station from enemy action. It kind of seems odd to me that the Empire would create something as expensive as the Death Star, but not give it any protection. Although in George Lucas' defense, they really stretched the budget for the first Star Wars movie, so most likely they couldn't afford to put any more Star Destroyers on screen. Let's be honest, guys, the Death Star was a terrible use of Imperial resources. We actually did a video where we calculated all the other things the Empire could have bought instead of the Death Star, and it's kind of embarrassing. You can check out the video here. For instance, we figured out that the Empire could build almost 7,000 Star Destroyers with that money.
That's a lot.
Star Destroyers to cover at least 7,000 different systems, which is a much better investment in my opinion. It also spreads out your resources so that they can't be destroyed in one shot. The Death Star only had one purpose. It was to destroy planets, and somehow that would create stability in the galaxy. Yet its immense size meant that almost 1 million Imperials were stationed on board. And these weren't just your average Imperials, they were the best of the best. The most talented engineers, pilots, stormtroopers. The Death Star was a place only the elite were stationed. Now, if the designers had taken some of my ideas, like putting the Death Star inside of an asteroid or automating some of its turrets, they could have drastically decreased the size of the station and the manpower necessary.
Businesses nationwide are switching to Verizon Business Internet.
It's a perfect fit for my small business.
Verizon has business-grade internet solutions nationwide for our not-so-small business, too. Get internet that keeps your business ready for anything from the network America relies on.
Necessary to operate it. They could have also automated a lot of the systems on board and used droids to perform maintenance duties. That's exactly what the First Order did when they refitted the Imperial-class Star Destroyer Mark II for service. They simply had less manpower than the Empire had, but their refit of the ISD allowed them to operate these ships with a much smaller crew. When the first Death Star was destroyed, it dropped the Empire into a major economic depression and also killed off some of the most talented men and women in the Empire. This meant across the galaxy, younger and less experienced officers and enlisted men were being promoted into higher positions, which weakened the Empire's fighting capability. The architect of a large portion of the Death Star was a man named Galen Erso. He was recruited by his former schoolmate in the Republic Futures program, Director Orson Krennic. At the time, Galen Erso was one of the leaders in the field of crystallography and the use of crystals in energy refinement. Erso was a pacifist by nature and extremely curious about the civilian applications of a kyber crystal. Krennic was far more ambitious than his friend, but much less talented. He was able to trick Galen into joining Project Celestial Power. This was a shell program that was aiming to create new power sources that could rebuild the galaxy that was left in ruins after the Clone Wars. Of course, Project Celestial Energy was just the cover for the Death Star program. Galen Erso and his fellow scientists were isolated from each other and tasked with designing small portions of the weapons independently, so they had no idea what they were helping to build. But Galen Erso quickly found out what the entire project was about and decided to take his family and run away from the Empire. Krennic does eventually find Galen and brings him back to the project. But by this point, Orson Krennic should have known that Galen also was not to be trusted. Yet for some reason, he was placed in charge of designing a significant portion of the weapon, including the reactor module, which he would eventually go on to sabotage. My question here is, why would they take a theoretical scientist and researcher and put him in charge with actually engineering the weapon itself? They obviously should have never trusted a man like Urso and should have just had a more loyal engineer take a look at his research. Now the Geonosians were the ones who first started constructing the outer shell for the Death Star. Given the hive mind-like mentality of the species, they were well suited for the job. But once the Clone Wars ended and the Republic turned into the Empire, Palpatine decided to genocide the entire Geonosian species because he thought they knew too much about the project. He replaced this very reliable workforce with slaves, primarily Wookiee slaves. I'm not really sure why they used Wookiees. They were actually terrible slaves if you really think about it. They're incredibly strong, great fighters, free-spirited, and the only way you could really control them was by putting an explosive collar around their neck and then by kidnapping their family and putting explosive collars on their neck to use as leverage. This is an incredibly complicated process, and brute strength really doesn't matter as much in zero-gravity situations. Plus, there are all sorts of tools that can do the heavy lifting for you. On top of that, Wookiees were quite smart, and I'm sure they sabotaged a lot of their own work in order to stall the Empire. Plus, slavery is not only morally disgusting, it's also economically not sustainable. You're essentially taking able-bodied people out of the workforce and the economy and driving them to their deaths working on a stupid giant battle station. A better alternative would have been to hire people and just pay them decent wages. And, well, I guess if you really didn't want anyone to know about the project, you could have just used droids. The Tarkin Doctrine was the main driving force behind the Death Star, even though it was Orson Krennic's brainchild. You see, the director really had no plans on how to utilize the weapon. He just wanted to create a giant laser, like any mad scientist would. Wilhelm Tarkin, however, believed that patrolling the immense territory that the Empire had with conventional forces was doomed to fail. He had come from a very harsh world in the Outer Rim and believed that nature's natural state was chaotic and could only be controlled by brute strength and force. He believed that the only way to create stability across the galaxy was to create a gigantic, credible threat of force, the Death Star. But instead of just testing the battle station on an uninhabited planet, Tarkin made the huge mistake of using it on Alderaan. Once the Death Star was fired at Alderaan, that credible threat of force that was supposed to keep people in line actually made them so scared that many of them joined the rebellion to fight against the Empire. You see, Alderaan was more than just a planet. It was a cultural center for the galaxy and human race. It was always seen as an untouchable permanent fixture in the core of the galaxy, too valuable to destroy. By blowing up Alderaan, Tarkin shattered the illusion that the Empire was some benevolent force that was trying to bring stability to the galaxy. Even if there were a few hundred terrorists on the planet and a stockpile of weapons, it didn't really justify the death of several billion people. By blowing up Alderaan, Tarkin had started the beginning of the end of the Empire. A much better way to stabilize the galaxy would be to strengthen the economy, and then trap all those potential rebels into boring office jobs. Guys, I know a lot of you came into this video already knowing what's wrong with the Death Star, but I hope we did enlighten you to some new possibilities. Anyway, don't forget to check out our second channel called Generation Films, where we basically do the same thing we do on this channel, but with a wider range of movies. We upload every day, we don't upload on Generation Tech. So make sure you subscribe to that channel, and thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, service. They simply haven't let got the video here. For instance, we figured out the Empire could build almost 7,000 Star Destroyers with that money. That's enough Star Destroyers to cover at least 7,000 different systems. So, check out the video here. For instance,
Where is it?
the Empire could build almost 7,000 Star Destroyers with that money. That's enough Star instead of Death Star. And it's kind of embarrassing. You check out the video.
New degree advanced. First ever 72-hour non-stop protection with motion sensor. Tested to the limit. And feeling drying curves. 72-hour non-stop protection however much you move.
friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. When asked about what he thought of the Death Star, Ron told the Emperor, "I would warn against diverting too many of the Empire's resources from a flexible navy of capital ships and starfighters to massive projects that can only bring the Imperial presence to only one system at a time." And of course, he was right. The Death Star was an utter failure. Almost that could only bring. Our friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. When asked about what he thought of the Death Star, Ron told the Emperor, "I would warn against diverting too many of the Empire's resources from a flexible navy of capital ships and starfighters to massive projects that can only bring the Imperial presence to only one system at a time." And of course, he was right. The Death Star was an utter failure. Almost everyone involved in it died.
See at the party rings now.
And then the Tarkin doctrine didn't really work. When the Death Star fired upon Jeddah and Alderaan, instead of scaring people into submission, it drove more people to the rebellion's cause. And the Death Star also served as a symbolic target that finally united all the rebel cells together into a truly unified force. At the same time, more than 1 million of the Empire's most talented men and women were lost when it was destroyed, along with an incredible amount of resources that were used to build it. A finance professor even did a study where he determined that the destruction of the Death Star would plunge the galaxy into a huge recession, and overnight the galactic economy would shrink in size by 30%. That's nuts! In comparison, at the height of the Great Recession in 2009, the US economy only shrunk by 2.8%. Just imagine how many people would lose their jobs, how many people would die from poverty and starvation, and how many stormtrooper babies would be without a father or mother. This kind of makes this whole celebration seem kind of messed up. Yeah, I'm just thinking about all those stormtrooper baby orphans.
Oh my god.
So my question today is, what could the Empire have bought instead of wasting all that money on the Death Star? Well, to answer that question, we have to figure out how much the Death Star actually costs. Now, there have been several attempts by mathematicians and scientists here on Earth to figure out what that number is. Estimates range from $8.1 quadrillion, that's 15 zeros by the way, to as high as $15.6 septillion, that's 24 zeros. Even the White House had their own estimate after being petitioned to build the Death Star. They said no, of course, and priced the Death Star's construction at around $850 quadrillion. But the problem with all these estimates is that they're looking at it through Earth's point of view, and our capabilities are kind of limited when compared to the Galactic Empire. Look at the way we built the ISS. We had to ship it up into space in a few small pieces at a time, using extremely expensive rocket boosters. The Empire built their vessels in shipyards in orbit. Now, according to the canon book Star Wars, absolutely everything you need to know, the Death Star cost over 1 trillion credits. Now, this book does occasionally mention Legends material, but it is considered canon, and it also has a lot of cool information in it, so if you guys want to check that out, I'll link it in the description below. So instead of the Death Star, the Empire could have purchased 6,666 Imperial-class Star Destroyers at 150 million credits each. That would increase their existing fleet of Imperial Star Destroyers by more than 25%.
Wow.
With the enormous size of the Galactic Empire, every additional Star Destroyer helps increase their presence. Most people considered it way too powerful to take down, so they didn't even attempt to attack it. And if you want to go cheaper, you can purchase around 17,543 Victory-class Star Destroyers. Victory-class was a little more than half the size of the Imperial-class Star Destroyer. And it had been in service since the Clone War. It was reliable and had terrific order. Now, a few thousand Star Destroyers allows you to significantly increase your presence across the galaxy, but a ship of that size is overkill for most situations. The majority of planets in the galaxy were uninhabited, and only a few had populations the size of Earth. And it was even more rare to find a planet as populated as Coruscant. As a matter of fact, most inhabited planets had very few people on them. So, how many smaller patrol-sized ships 25-meter long Arcutin-class light cruiser? So we have to go with a much smaller 63-meter Gazanti-class cruiser. They were very heavily armed, had decent firepower, and could carry up to 4 TIE fighters or 2 AT-AT walkers. At only 150,000 credits, the Empire could purchase 6,666,666 vessels. Now we're getting into some larger numbers, and the Empire could
That's a
potentially
lot.
deploy a few of these ships in each one of their systems. Enough to deter most bandits and pirates, and should an outpost or convoy run into some real trouble, they can at least hold the enemy at bay until reinforcements arrive. Trillion credits could also equip 500 million stormtroopers with missile launchers. I mean, sure, it might increase friendly fire incidents and civilian casualties and, I don't know, collateral damage, but it'll be really fun for the stormtroopers, and you guys know how important morale is for a fighting force, right? Plus, it serves as a great deterrent against any rebel, because everyone knows in a battle fought only with rocket launchers, no one wins. But if that's too awesome for you, a trillion credits could also equip the 125 million stormtroopers with E-Web heavy repeating blasters. Sure, they're too heavy to carry around, but just let the enemy come to you and fill them with blaster bolts. But okay, so let's say you think mobility is an important thing. You can also spend that trillion credits to buy 125 million 74Z speeder bikes. It might be confusing as hell for you to coordinate them, but your enemy will be extremely confused as well. Just imagine hundreds of stormtroopers flying around at 300 miles per hour. Yeah, a lot of people are gonna die. Okay, so those are extremely terrible military strategies that don't make any sense. So imagine this. What's one of the biggest problems of trying to suppress an insurgency group? Simple. They don't play by the rules. Look at Saw's partisans. They're essentially, well, you know, we can't say the T word because then advertisers won't want to advertise with us, even though we're using it in a perfectly acceptable way. So you could equip 20 million stormtroopers with fragmentation grenades and use them to T-word T-words. Okay, so let's say you don't want to T-word people because you're not an A-word, and you just want to help some people out. Instead of building a freaking Death Star, well, you could have bought 126,582,278,481 buckets of Enduring Fried Chicken. Awesome. Come on down to Dick's Diner and enjoy yourself a bucket of authentic homemade Endorian fried chicken. Just like Mama used to make. And better yet, we don't use any Ewok meat fillers like them other joints. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, guys. The point is basically you should never put all your eggs into one basket. It's just a terrible strategic decision.
Honestly, if they were smart, they would not use the energy to create a laser. They would use the energy to create some sort of massive shield. Because honestly, if I were the Empire, I'd almost make that a shield, because then you have a battle station that's untouchable, and then I'd line the Death Star with tons and tons of turbo lasers, not 15,000, but like at least 50,000. That way it can go to planets and bombard them if I don't want them. Like, that's a smarter idea. Even if you can only go to one station, can you imagine people in the streets? Oh, the Empire can bombard us with turbo lasers, and you can't touch them, they're shielded. Who killed the most people in Star Wars is a video. Probably Grand Moff Tarkin, because the guy literally ordered the Death Star. Plus the fact that he caused the downfall of the Empire. YouTube has a new update. Is it good or bad?
Be ready for sales kickoff 2023. Fast implementation.
Wonder what they're changing on YouTube.
Enable your
What are you gonna do? Like, okay, I've been noticing a glitch happening with YouTube lately. The dates of videos, I was getting angry at people almost in my head. I'm like, these stupid YouTubers, they don't have dates on their videos. And I went to my channel. The dates are on mine, not my videos. I'm like, wow, I'm stupid or something. Because the dates are disappearing. Why are the dates disappearing on the videos?
What fluid sales motion? I should go for a run today, but it looks like it could rain.
Save on epic rain jackets at Sierra.
Thing is, I used to go out with my girlfriend, but she left me.
Oh, bum.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another
I want to see
video
what
from the
YouTube's
channel.
changing, because of
Today
course
we'll
I'm...
be talking about YouTube's new major update to the platform. I'm one of those people, you know, I criticize YouTube a lot, right? I've made a lot of videos talking about what YouTube does wrong, about the things that I don't like that they do. But I'm also one of those people, man, I really believe that you need to give credit where credit's due, right? Like when someone does something good or they make a positive change or something, you need to also say that. If you're going to be one of the people like me who criticizes things and calls things out and makes a point of things,
I agree.
you also got to do it on the flip side, right? Because it's not really cool to just hone in on all the negative and not the
I agree. Like, for example, like, I don't like YouTube for a lot of things, but I can agree, like, things like, you know, like, Daddy O5's termination, or Mr. MA's termination, or other things like that. Props to them on that. And it's Owen's termination, which is earlier because of he was exploiting Technoblade. I will give YouTube props. Like, you did extremely good there. Good job. Pat yourself on the freaking back. Removing that piece of cancer from our beautiful website.
I've been able to tell yet. I'm actually pretty excited about the new YouTube update.
Really?
I think that there's some pretty good changes and some pretty good additions coming to this.
Optimus never gets excited over YouTube updates. See what's gonna...
And it follows a string of good updates by YouTube to the platform. I've been kind of talking about these as they happen, and I'll continue to talk about these as they happen in the future. So every time there's a new update, I'll be letting you guys know right here on the channel. But there's some new stuff coming to YouTube, some new features, some new design changes, and everything that I kind of wanted to talk about.
Hopefully it's not corny.
Because to be honest with you, a lot of these changes could end up changing pretty much everything. They make the platform more usable, they make the platform more visually pleasing, in my opinion. I think these look better than the update that we had last with the UI, even though I do have some things I want to nitpick about it. I'm really excited for the playlists update. I'm excited for some of the new features that are coming to YouTube that we'll be talking about in this video. And I noticed only half of you who are watching this video are subscribed to the channel, so if you want to get new and breaking updates about everything that's going on daily, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and turn notifications on so you never miss another Optimus upload again. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about some of these changes to YouTube. So this is how YouTube video pages are going to look with the new YouTube update, and as you can see, one thing that you'll notice immediately is a lot of the like video cards and the buttons on the page
There's-
and the description and everything.
That's actually kind of
It's got
cool.
rounded edges now. I know this isn't a major change, but graphically the website looks a lot cleaner. This UI is very nice. I mean, looking at the buttons and everything, everything's pretty viewable. You know, you can easily see the like and dislike button, which is one thing I want to nitpick. I really wish they'd bring back the dislike counts on video.
I honestly think I like rounded edges. I love them, and I have a little bit problems with them, but they're mostly great. Like, for example, like thumbnails might be a little bit unaffected. I think what they should do is when they're putting the thumbnail in, you should have like a frame where you can adjust it. You know, like you take a picture on a profile picture, and it has a box, and you adjust that box to crop out things. Make something like that. I don't know if I'm speaking English. Anyway, yeah, YouTube, please bring back dislikes. I literally have had like a 50-50 dislike ratio on my YouTube video, and even I'm begging to have dislikes back.
Probably not going to happen at this point, but dude, it would be such a huge, major W for the platform. I think most people will agree on that. One other thing I want to nitpick about this, the subscribe button being white and black instead of red now. I've always preferred the red subscribe button. I've always thought that helps it kind of pop out a little bit more on the page. So
Yeah, I think the subscribe button should be red.
terrible. Everything's like pretty clear and concise with this layout, and you'll also notice that the background of this is like way darker to the point where it's almost like pitch black, right? That's because they're also adding a new dark theme to the YouTube.
Yay! Darker dark theme.
Significant service.
It's because the background is so white.
Like I'm on a laptop or on a computer, right? And I get on a web page, and it's just like this bright ass flashbang of a website. You know what I mean? I can't stand that, man. So YouTube's
And plus,
already pretty decent, but I like this one.
if you're not using dark mode on phones, what are you doing? Dark mode saves up to 34 to 60% of your battery, and it's better on your eyes. It just looks more aesthetically pleasing. Let's just be honest.
The page looks better with it. I think it looks cleaner in this mode, and also at the same time provides way less strain on the eyes when looking at something like this. So I think it looks really good. They also, of course, routed, like I said, all the buttons. They updated the sub and the member buttons to not be. So graphically, the website is going to look a little bit different right now. Another thing I want to talk about that they are doing is improved navigation from links. So anytime that you link something, say in the description of your video or whatever, it'll now pop up as a button that is clickable that'll help you, I guess, identify where these things kind of lead to on the internet a little bit better. That way you're not just clicking random links. I know that's going to be helpful because there's been a lot of like spam bots on YouTube.
Okay, like let me guess. It's gonna be like one of those things where you hover over it and it clicks. Like, cause if let's say, like, because what's it called? Like it's like I want to click the links, but I'm not clicking that just because I don't want to get freaking wormed on my device. But if it has a thing where it, like, it hovers a picture over, like, what the website that's linked is, that would be a really interesting change. I will say, it's not as good as, like, adding likes or adding more monetization, but I will admit, it's better than, like, doing nothing.
In the comments, and they'll be spamming, like, Telegram links and stuff, posing as, like, YouTubers like myself in our comment sections. And any way that we can combat them, in my opinion, is a massive W. And it also makes sure that people can't link to, like, malicious sites without you knowing and stuff in the description. YouTube's already been pretty tough about stuff like that, but there have been issues with that in the past. I think this is going to be great. I think that helps a lot, you know, basically being able to see a little bit better where stuff is linking to. I don't really see that as a problem. That's a W that helps the user make more informed decisions when they're using the website, so that's a W from YouTube. Another thing also in this update that I would really like to talk about here is what they're calling the playlists update. So we're looking through a playlist now. As you can see, everything is a lot more clear and concise. Before, it kind of just listed a bunch of options in your face.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit this right now. The playlist UI is kind of just garbage. It did need to be updated. It felt finicky, especially on mobile devices. If you don't know, I don't think I've ever told this to my, wait, did it just install COD? Oh, well, COD is installed. I didn't even know COD was installing. Well, it's done now. I guess after like 3 days of waiting, COD is installed. But I really want to get this done. Anyway, if you don't know, I actually run my channel off of Safari YouTube. I know it sounds weird. That's like saying I run my I play on a Microsoft PlayStation or a Sony Xbox. I know it sounds really weird, but yes, I do operate my channel off of Safari. I actually don't really like the app as good.
The UI is like larger, it's a little brighter, there's more color, there's more like visual pleasing, I guess, when you're looking through these playlists. The top options to like play all the videos and everything are way larger, it's more concise and everything. This is huge because for channels like me, my playlists really matter because people, they watch multiple videos on my channel on average, so being able to like go to the commentaries playlist or like, you know, the Watch Optimus playlist or something like that and have a better idea of what you want to watch and what's available in those playlists is a huge W. I've gotten tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views through these types of clips, through these playlists and stuff, so for a lot of creators, this is going to be a pretty massive change because if you can funnel viewers down to your playlists and get them to watch multiple videos, how many pieces of content that your audience is watching of yours, and that's huge for creating long-term, lifetime fans. And that's like here at Optimus, what we've been focusing on a lot. We've been trying to get people to, you know, kind of stick with the program in a way, you know what I mean? Not just watch 1 or 2 videos and disappear, but become like a lifelong fan where they can enjoy content for years to come. So this is a huge feature. But now let's go ahead and talk about some of the new features that are being added to YouTube in this update. So one that I'm really hyped up for, I think is really cool, is we're finally getting pinch to zoom on videos. So one thing you can do on a smartphone is you can like pinch by taking your fingers and pulling apart, and you can zoom in on the smaller, like fine details of images on your phone and stuff. Well, YouTube is now adding a feature like this to their platform, so you can zoom in on the finer details of videos and zoom in on small things inside of pieces of content. This is a really good addition in my opinion. It adds something cool and unique. I shouldn't say unique, because I mean you can do this on other platforms and stuff too, but like it adds something that the platform didn't have before. You can, like I said, fine tune it to little details. So for instance, let's say I do like a discount code for merchant, like real small in the corner, people can zoom in on that or whatever, right? And kind of see those details when they wouldn't have been able to before. That's kind of the way I'm looking at things with this, right? And another feature that they're adding is precise seeking, okay, which will make it easier to navigate through videos down to a fine-tuned selected point throughout a video. Obviously, this is a really good addition because it's going to help people navigate the parts of videos that they want to easier. I have personally noticed that there are times where, like, I'm on mobile, right, and I'm watching a video and I'm trying to, like, scroll through and seek to exactly where I want into a video, and it's just damn near impossible. So I feel like this is a pretty major change that I'm also excited for. Overall, this update to me, pretty decent. I mean, I like the new UI changes. I think they look sleek, they look modern, they're pretty easy to look at and visually pleasing. The new darker dark mode is fire. I like the way that basically content looks on both mobile and on desktop, which is huge. I don't think people realize like how much of an effect the UI can really have on the enjoyability of a website. I think this UI looks pretty good. I think the platform will function pretty well, and overall that's going to be good because as a creator, when a platform functions even better, that's better for me, and ultimately it's better for you too. Of course, I want to know what you guys think about this update. Do you like the UI change? Do you like some of the new features? Let me know what you think about this YouTube update down below in the comments section, and with that...
Clear. Sky, inside. Hey. What?
People are triggered by anything. Oh boy.
Real fruit, whole grains, and chocolatey chunks. Doing something good for yourself.
Alright, what's going on?
This here is from between.
Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to take a look at some old-fashioned cringe. Just some people freaking out over something that they should not be freaking out over. From my understanding, this is taking place at like a lecture or some sort of like Q&A or something at Portland State University, which I'm not going to lie, I didn't know was a college, but I mean, you learn something new every day, right? So it really only makes sense that something like this would take place in Portland, right? Like Portland in the US, if you don't know, has gained like this terrible representation because some of the people that live there are just batshit insane, and they do batshit insane things. And videos like this definitely don't help their cause, don't make people think they're any more sane than they should be. So basically, during this lecture or whatever, a woman states some of the basic differences between men and women physically, right? Keep in mind, she doesn't say anything too ludicrous, Chris, like, I feel like I actually have a pretty good, you know, sense of when someone's saying something that's actually offensive, you know, and honestly, I didn't take offense to anything that was said. I mean, pretty much everything that was said here is literally just facts. Like, it's undeniable. It's scientifically proven. Like, the evidence is out there. You can pretty much Google it, and you'll figure out, like, there'll be actual sources and results there that'll tell you this. It's not like
Yeah, go
people
get.
up there just spreading this.
It's my ear purifier. That feels better.
Information are saying some bullshit, like they're actually correct in what they're saying, and a select few people in the crowd simply couldn't fucking tolerate that, man. Like, they heard this and they just lost their minds. They had to be escorted out. They disrupted the entire event. You know, basically, they just acted like children, because, you know, what does a child do when they hear something that they don't like? They throw a fucking temper tantrum and they act out, and they just lash out and act ridiculous. And that is exactly what happened to these kids. That's what I'm gonna call them. These are college students, but these are kids. Like, mentally, these people can't be older than like 13. You know what I mean? This is what happens when your parents fail you. Like, genuinely, this is how you end up behaving. An intellectual person who like hears something that they disagree with, they can tolerate that. They don't have to like act the fuck out. They don't have to try and act like they're some sort of martyr of some situation. But I'm gonna go ahead and start playing the video. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and we'll go ahead and react to it as we go along. So let's go ahead and play the video.
Let's look at differences between men and women that are explicitly anatomical and physiological. Are men taller than women on average? Does anyone take offense at that fact?
Facts.
There's always outstanding.
So I would say you could be irritated by it. You could be irritated by the fact that women have to be the ones to gestate and lactate. You could be irritated by a lot of truths. But taking offense is a...
Alright, so at this point, some of the people...
Whoa! I didn't know that. Men are average taller than women, and women actually carry the babies. We're not seahorses. I didn't know that. I don't take offense to that. If I were a woman, I wouldn't take offense to that. It's simple. It's, you know what? It's a proven fact. I'm not wrong. Males are usually taller than females. Usually bigger. In other species, it's not just humans. A lot of species, females are usually smaller than the males.
Start walking out of the event, you know, they heard too much truth, and it just upset them to their core, completely rocked them and shook them to their core. The horrible, terrible, factual information of men are taller than women on average. That was enough to upset these people, which is, by the way, just a legitimate...
What would have happened if a man said it? That would have been worse. Not as I'm saying worse as offensive. People would get more offended if a man said that. But it, like, literally, it is scientifically proven time and time again that men are on average taller than women. Now, there are women that are indeed taller than men, because in biology, there's always an exception. It's not like, you know, not all men are going to be taller than all women, man. It's because everybody has a growth difference. For example, some kids in my school are like 6 foot tall. I'm like 5'6". There's height differences. It's genetic, not through species, but through parents.
It's like rolling in mud. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with how you feel. It has nothing to do with like personal bias or preference. It's just scientific fact that men on average are taller.
I just made Morningstar Farms veggie chicken nuggets in under 2 minutes and got my...
No. I was about to say, if like, let me guess, they're probably gonna say like something that could be interpreted as offensive. that like saying that all men like men are theoretically inferior to women. In my opinion, if there's actually a primary gender, quote unquote, a primary gender, it'd probably be females. I mean, hey, when you're in the womb, you actually start out as a female, but only transition to a male, not vice versa. That's why I say that. There's just so much evidence. Oh my.
It's just the reality of the world we live in. I mean, even if you like look through the crowd, or like even look at the people sitting on stage, like the vast majority of those men are probably going to be taller than the vast majority of the women in that crowd and on the stage and everything, right? Well, these people couldn't handle that. They had to walk out. And one thing I want to note is when you look at the people who are walking out and end up causing like a commotion and a big situation out of this whole thing, you'll notice they all look the exact fucking same. Like, it's insane. They've all got like colored, super dyed hair, which I don't have a problem with, you know what I mean? Dye your hair. But they all have like super colorful hair. They all dress fucking ridiculous. Like, they all just look the exact same. It's almost like some sort of like NPC personality trait or something. It's weird because these people want to be different so bad. They want to be so unique and be like the person that stands out, but they all look the exact same. How does that work, guys? So these facts were just too much for people to handle here. Let's go ahead and keep rolling the video because it gets better.
Is a response that is rejection of reality. So men and women are different on height. They're different on muscle mass. They're different on where fat is deposited on our bodies.
Yup, right there. For example, let's take male and female species. If you actually don't know, male species have brighter colors. The birds do. Look at the cardinal. The male cardinal is red, while the female cardinal is brown. The reason that the males have prettier colors is to attract mates and to do dances for them. No, really, some birds actually do dances for their mates. It's really cute. Anyway, I'm sorry, but that is literally biology for you. Here, why don't you do what I'm doing? Go back to your high school, and I'm not going back, and go up to your principal and say, hey, I want to take some biology. Because not only am I trying to become an expert in chemistry, I'm trying to become an expert in biology. Let's see, what awful things does this... Oh! Oh my freaking god! The dude right next to her is taller! Whoa! That's surprising! And the lady on the left of the dude is like just barely as tall. Whoa! Literally dead ass! I'm holding it as even as I can. You can see, there she is. There's a speaker right here. There's a dude, and this lady right on the left is actually a little bit shorter than the dude, and they're all even chairs. Whoa! Oh my god, it's not like evidence saying, oh, half all blondes are like secretly like 1 inch smaller. Like you can really see it. The dude, the male, is taller than the female. Holy crap! Actually, hold on. How tall? What's it called? How big do elephants get? Oh no, how much do elephants weigh? Watch this. How much do elephants weigh? Let's see, let's see, per gender. A male elephant can grow up to 4 meters tall, about 4 yards in height, and weigh 7 tons, while the females can still weigh in at a mere 3.5. See? This is literally biology. It is a biological fact that males are more bigger, more taller than females. Society didn't make the rule. Nobody made the rule. It's just how it's just how carbon-based life forms on this planet work. Like it's not like all blonde people are like. So it's not a fact that's dictated by society. It is dictated by evolution and biology. If these guys would just pick up do a Google search. Let's see, how much do, let's say, German Shepherd. Males weigh 66 to 88 pounds, while females weigh 48 to 70 pounds. There, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And you know what? Let's be an asshat. Let's do humans. Okay. Human body weight. Let's go. Look at this. Usually, healthy men usually weigh more than healthy women of the same height. It is just, and plus muscle placements. It's because the male and female body are built differently from each other. There's much more that changes. Different hormones, different chemicals, different organs. You know what I'm saying. That's like building a gun. That's like comparing two guns. Like they both shoot bullets, but if I take an AR-15 and like an MP 1522, they're gonna look very, very closely identical, because those two are they're very common guns, but they have physical differences. Okay, let's do this.
Right? Our brains are also different.
Yup.
So they're
Security! This is what happens. Oh, did they shut off the volume? Can you hear? Can everybody hear?
Whoa, guys! I didn't know that males and females had different fat placements. Whoa! Whoa! Yo, guys, I'm about to say something very offensive. Did you know? Like, bruh, these guys get triggered over everything. Okay, what I'm about to say could be very offensive. You have to be careful. You may not know this, but females have longer hair. I know, I just said that, okay? Please, I didn't mean to be offensive, okay? I'm just stating the obvious. If you don't know what you walked into, these guys are getting mad that this lady said that men are taller than women at a convention. And it's a university, so these guys are pretty smart. These guys are, you know, adept at biological, technological, like, you know the gist. Like, they're pretty smart people. They've studied years in their field. And the people, like 29 out of 30 people that are leaving, they don't know jack anything about biology. I guarantee it. They have never taken 3 seconds out of their time to pick up a book or do Google search. What Google search is, to actually learn about biology. Like, dude, literally, I was a stupid kid when I was very kid. Like, I was a stupid little, like, grade schooler. But by then, I was starting to know that males were honestly bigger than females.
Right, so more facts got spit. Once again, none of this stuff is like personal prejudice. None of this stuff is...
This is actually the least offensive stuff I've ever seen.
It's literally just like scientific anatomy facts, you know what I mean? And people got so fucking upset that they disrupted the event. Because nothing says I'm right like unplugging the other person's...
And you know what? If you disagree with that fact, here's what you can do. You can go find the person after the speech. What? Okay, if these guys disagree with and they're not like being like, oh well, black people have a superiority to white people. No, they're not saying. They're saying like literal facts. To be honest, if you want to hear my opinion when it comes to race, each race has their weaknesses and their strengths. Honestly. Because okay, what I'm saying is, it sounds offensive, but it's not. Darker skinned people are dark skinned because they've evolved skin to resist UV. In Africa and near the equator, that's where a lot of the UV hits, and UV is slightly ionizing. UV is bad. I know I just said the most racist thing ever, that, you know, that's biological fact. Also, second biological fact, darker skinned people came before lighter skinned people. The reason we have lighter skinned people like me is because people went up north where there wasn't UV, and because they didn't have a lot of UV hitting them, evolution said, hey, there's no need for dark skin, let's make our skin lighter. So that is why African Americans or people that live near the equator in general have more pigmentation. For example, the lighter you are, the least amount of pigmentation you are. So my skin does not have nearly as much pigmentations as somebody with darker skin. Honestly, people are stupid.
You know, this is a college, so I...
Oh, I'm about to say, I don't know if I forgot to say, but if you want to detest this, if you want to like do something like if you disagree with a point, here's what I would do. I would find the person afterward and I'd say, hey, can we talk? I disagree. This is like, just be civil about it. Say, I don't agree with this, here's why, XYZ. If you do that, I bet you if I did that, people would listen to me more than if I said, you suck, my idea is right, yours is wrong. Like, that's literally why people need to be civil.
Mind, like, if the students stood up and, like, tried to debate the people up on stage, you know what I mean? Like, I think
that would be way more
that's
mature.
an appropriate response that's, like, dictated by the event. Go right on ahead, like, stand up and criticize what they're saying, actually share ideas. But to just go and, like, unplug the fucking microphones because you don't like anatomy is just insane to me, man. Like, how do these people get accepted into college? Like, I thought you had to be, like, somewhat intelligent to get accepted into
Same
college.
here.
Apparently not, man, because this is just the most ridiculous way to act over something very simple. Like, college students back in the day, it feels like, would actually debate things, and they would try to use knowledge to defeat other ideas they didn't agree with. Nowadays, college students want to stomp their feet and cry and scream when someone says something they don't like. Like, it feels like there's been such a big societal shift, and the way that people this age act is just radically different than it ever has been before. That's probably not really backed up by fact. I don't really know. I'm not doing any research on this. I'm just saying, like, from my personal observation.
Can't get comfortable at night? The Sleep Number 360 smart bed has your back, effortlessly responding to your movement.
God, this is amazing.
Observations, to be like 21 years old and acting this fucking way because somebody said something you didn't agree with or like, even though it's backed up by science, is genuinely fucking absurd to me. Like, these people's parents actually failed them. Like, they were not ready for the real world whatsoever, you know what I mean? This is not how people in the real world should be behaving, and you gotta think, these are the people that are gonna lead our world someday, right? The people who are gonna lead our world are quick-tempered, they react horribly.
Hey, that's why all politics
or ideas that aren't their own. They sabotage ideas instead of debating them or defeating them. And it gets even worse. We still have more video to go, so go ahead and take a look at this.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a great example. If you know me, as a student, I strongly disagree with the educational system, but you don't see me screaming, it needs to be ended, it needs to be stopped. If I was not playing video games, and I didn't want to play video games, I would literally invite people that disagree with me to sit down and debate. Because if we sit down and debate, we both will learn things from each other. Because, well, that's talking. If we scream at each other, that is just act like a bunch of rabid monkeys infected with rabies. Like, bro, much scientific progress has been made through scientists just sitting down and talking with each other. Get arrested, loser.
He's a piece of shit. That's not okay. Even the women in there have been brainwashed.
Alright, so now the women have been brainwashed for accepting
Oh no, the women have absorbed scientific data. What will they ever do?
Men on average have more muscle mass than women. These aren't even like offensive things. That's what really gets me. Like, these aren't even offensive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for like, you know, I'm sorry for saying that. Next time I'm just gonna say women suck, you know, like, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, what do you want them to do? Say women suck? No. It's not offensive, but I will say this. Women have less muscle mass than men. This does not mean that not all men are stronger than women. Because there are women, indeed, that are just built like effing tanks that could literally whoop ass. Like, bruh. And to be honest, the more dudes I've seen more overweight dudes than I have seen overweight ladies, honestly. To be honest with you, just saying. Okay, let's keep going.
So you know what I mean? These are just like the truth of the matter. Like, it's not even offensive. No one's saying that women are inferior or like women are worse because they're shorter than men. They're just saying like, hey, you can be uncomfortable with these facts, but they're still facts of the matter, and like you have to get over that. But yet they just can't tolerate that. Apparently, if you have an idea that doesn't align with people like this, you've been brainwashed. Like, they literally are acting like fucking children. This is exactly how I would expect third graders to act. It's embarrassing, and they see no problem with it. They see no problem giving the campus security or the campus police a hard time because they can't handle shit on their own. They can't be adult enough to hear somebody out. Like, dude, that's so pathetic. These people should genuinely be embarrassed.
Should not listen to fascism. Should not be tolerated in civil society. Nazis are not welcome in civil society.
No, Nazis are not welcome in society. Oh god, now we have some libtard over here saying F the police. Hey, about the cops, do you want to take a look at, Middle East? You know, a place with no control. And no, I'm not saying it's a rabid place where everybody's all evil. I'm saying the governments there have garbage police forces, and they're corrupt. Same with some parts of Africa. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be offensive. I was just stating facts. But seriously, a lot of governments in Africa are corrupt as hell. Just look at Ethiopia or Sudan. Those two countries are awful to live in. And it's not the people that I hate, it's the governments. Honestly, people need to just sit down, shut the F up, and learn how to debate like an actual person, instead of screaming like a freaking toddler that didn't get his favorite candy bar at a chocolate shop.
Like, what are you actually talking about? Everything in that clip was just ludicrous, to say the least. Like, first and foremost, nothing they said had anything to do with fascism or Nazism, right? Nothing, like, they weren't up there talking about, like, we need to establish a new world order. The Fourth Reich must start today. You know what I mean? Like, they were just stating simple facts like that. Dude, you could tell that to a classroom of first graders, and they wouldn't even shrug. Like, that's what's crazy about this. And these people actually lost their minds over it, talking about fascism should not be tolerated in modern civil society.
It should not be tolerated, and it's not tolerated.
College hearing because you don't like truth. That shouldn't be accepted in civil society.
Oh, hey, look, he's a guy I don't like. He's a Nazi. Literally every woke person ever.
Shouldn't be tolerated in civil society either, but guess what? And you gotta imagine, oh, you're so tough. You yelled fuck the police to the campus cops. Like, congrats. You acted like a frat boy who got too drunk on the weekend and got his party crashed. Good job. You really fucking owned the police officer getting paid $13 an hour to handle rowdy college students. students. You really did something there. And I'm not talking down on the campus security, because honestly, their job's probably tougher than mine. I fucking play video games and talk on the internet for a living. But dude, this is just unacceptable. In my opinion, I know it might sound a little extreme, but I really think they should face some sort of academic punishment for this.
They
I'm not saying
should.
they should be kicked out of college or anything like that. I know some people might think that's the way to go, but like, there should be punishments for behaving this way in college. Like, that's just unacceptable. That's fucking ridiculous. In no way, shape, or form is anything that took place in this video even remotely acceptable. And I feel bad for the people talking on stage, because I don't know who they are and like what their personal beliefs are, but like in that instance right there, that was like very disrespectful to them, and frankly, they didn't deserve to have their event put through something like this by some whiny ass college students who are not reality based, you know what I mean? So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me on Twitter and Twitch at @SomethingOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, kicking my feet and crying when I hear things I don't like, and signing out.
Exactly. Let's finally get what they deserve.
Meet 3 people who took control of their money.
Honestly, people are protesting against oil. I honestly think the best way to stop fossil fuels is just to get them over with. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. Just get the shot over with. Rip the band-aid off. Because with no fossil fuels left, how are we going to put fossil fuels into the environment?
On the channel, and today we're going to be talking about this like recent, I guess, string of climate activists. So I guess that's really the only way I can put it, man. There's like been a recent string of climate activists that have been doing some pretty insane stuff to like try and spread the message that climate change is here, it's real, we need to do something about it, which isn't a message I disagree with, but the thing I do disagree with is the method in which they're trying to spread this message. These climate
hey, look, it's the BLM of climate protesters.
Insufferable, intolerable, annoying, ridiculous, and childish people on the planet. They've been, you know, going to art museums throughout Europe and throwing tomato soup or mashed
Congratulations, somebody in Africa could have probably eaten that tomato soup. But no, you have to be an asshole and throw it and ruin it.
They've been gluing themselves to the wall and screaming and throwing temper tantrums and blocking off traffic so everyday people who have to get to work or late to work and basically get punished by their jobs. They've just been doing like some very stupid shit that, in my opinion, doesn't really help spread the message of climate change is real. It feels like 95% of what these people are doing is really only being done to fuel their own ego, to make them feel better about themselves, you know what I mean, right? So, with that being said, though, today we're going to be talking about the karma that has finally hit some of these climate protesters. Now, keep in mind, I think most of us agree with the message, right? Like, most people believe in climate change, you know, believe that it's something that we do have to address and whatnot, right? But, like, most people don't believe that it's something that you have to act like this over, and that's, like, the right mentality to hold, right? Like, you shouldn't find this acceptable, you know what I mean? Like, this is just fucking stupid. But as they've been, you know, gluing themselves to the wall and throwing food and paintings and, you know, sitting down in traffic intersections and whatnot, right?
My God, what a bunch of
Germany decided
idiots.
to go to a Volkswagen showroom and glue themselves to the floor, and now they're just completely stunned and surprised that they don't have anywhere to go to the bathroom. Okay?
Ha 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 ha. You did it to themselves.
Trying to make it out like, Volkswagen's like taking care of these protesters and all this other shit, right? I just want to talk about this. Now, once again, I'm one of these people, I believe in protesting, right? I think that there are ways to effectively protest. I think that
Same here.
you do have to protest, you know what I mean? But I don't support protests that take away from the bigger objective, you know what I mean? Like, I don't support protests that, you know, like, basically destroy the message behind what you're trying to do, and this is like a prime example of it, man. Like in the other clips, they were screaming people around the world are starving while they threw tomato soup and mashed potatoes all over paintings and wasted food, right? right? Like, it's nonsense. Climate protesters who glued themselves to the floor of a Volkswagen showroom in Germany need to use the toilet, but now complain that the company has refused to provide the group with a...
No, you glued your ass to the floor. Suffer the consequences.
Grimalda, a researcher with the Kiel Institute think tank and member of climate protest group Scientist Rebellion, posted on Twitter that Wednesday 15 people had occupied the Porsche Pavilion at the Auto Stock Museum adjoining the carmaker's factory in Wolfsburg. Quote, 9 of us glued to the floor and some of us on hunger strike until our demands to decarbonize the German transport sector are met, he wrote. Volkswagen told us they supported our right to protest.
They don't care, they want money.
To urinate or defecate in a decent manner while we're glued and have turned off the heating. Volkswagen told us they supported our right to protest, but they refused our request to provide us with both to urinate or defecate in a decent manner while we're glued and have turned off the heating. People in support can't get out of the building. It's like a little Twitter thread or whatever. He later complained that we can't order our food. We must use the one provided by Volkswagen. Lights off. Random unannounced checks by security guards with bright torches. Police just came in, he wrote. So, it's just fucking hilarious to me how entitled these people are, man. Like, not to say that, like, you're entitled if you want a nice warm meal, but when you decide to glue yourself to the floor of a fucking business that you have no right to really do that in, you know what I mean? And then you want to right? Like, what kind of entitlement do they think they have that the company they're protesting is going to fucking feed them and give them somewhere to go to the bathroom after they move themselves to the floor? Like, please get serious, you know? Please get a fucking clue. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You know, you walked into a showroom and glued yourself to the floor for a hunger strike, and now you're mad that they're not going to fucking feed you? Yeah, congratulations. It's a little something called karma. That's what you get. That's what you fucking asked for when you went in there and did this. Like, it's insane to me, man. Like, they're genuinely trying to do whatever they can to...
These guys are the dumbest protesters ever. They try to destroy paintings that are protected. Now they are begging. What a bunch of idiots. Stupid lobotomized apes.
Absolutely 10 million% they can. Are they entitled to feed and help the protesters protesting them shit in a clean environment? Absolutely not. And it really shows you the intellect of these fucking people too, man. Like, they're just complete morons. Like, they have no idea what's
They're
going on.
literally lobotomized apes.
Because why couldn't you have just brought a big mixing bowl for you guys to all take a dump in yourselves? You know what I mean? Like, if that was really that big of an issue, why was that not thought of beforehand? So that leads me to think two things. Either A, they didn't do that intentionally so they could try and paint it on Volkswagen like they're the bad guys here. Or B, they were too fucking stupid to think, oh hey, maybe we'll actually be glued here for more than 3 or 4 hours. What happens if I have to take a piss or shit? But of course that thought didn't go through in anyone's head, you know, it didn't fucking cross anyone's horizon across their brain or anything. And now that they've glued themselves to the floor in this protest or whatever, all of a sudden now they need someone's help, you know what I mean? So that indicates to me they just plan their shit like shit, you know, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to effectively plan a protest, you know, like, I'm just thinking about like Gandhi when he was on his hunger strikes, right? Imagine that he was in the news talking about, oh, the British won't give me a nice place to go pee-pee and poo-poo, you know what I mean? Like, I got a feeling that bro didn't have a very good environment to do his shit in either, right? But bro still did what he did, you know what I mean? And now he's a historic figure. He's looked back on as like a fucking hero, right? Because of what he did. But yet you got these people who couldn't think it ahead, I don't know, just too stupid, not sure. Like, if anything, why couldn't you move yourselves to the bathroom if it was that big of a deal? And then they would have...
Life is magic. You can experience the amazing flavors that life has to offer, combined with the confidence of eating clean.
Complain that they're not being adequately fed. Oh, we can't even order food, man.
Yeah, that's what happens when you glue your ass to the bottom of the floor.
If you don't want to eat what Volkswagen provides, or whatever's there for you to eat, don't fucking glue yourself to the floor, you stupid moron. Like, it's so easy. Like, every single one of these issues they have is so solvable, and, like, the only solution is don't be a fucking moron, and they still fail that. Like, it's incredible to me, man. And they complain they turn off the heating. Yeah, because fuck you, dude. Like, what, they're gonna fucking pay for the heating so you can be comfortable after you involuntarily glued yourself to the floor of their business? When none of their employees are there, or like very little employees are there, they're gonna fucking heat the building so you can be comfortable? Like, what did they expect, man? Like, dude, these are the pussiest climate change activists ever, man. Like I said in my last video, dude, you have scientists who set themselves on fire and burn themselves alive over climate change. Not a fucking complaint came out of their mouths. Not one peep came out of their mouths about anything, man. But yet you got these new age age climate change quote-unquote activists who think they're fucking beasts or something like that, right? Step up in here for more than 3 hours. I was more surprised they had to complain they couldn't get good Wi-Fi reception. You know what I mean? Oh, Volkswagen won't even give us Wi-Fi to watch TikToks on, man. And then they complain they're getting random unannounced checks. Like, yeah, you've involuntarily glued yourself to the floor of a business in protest. Odds are they're probably gonna send security every once in a while to fucking check it out and make sure you guys aren't screwing something up. Like, what did these people think was gonna happen? I don't know.
These guys are
I can't
retarded.
honestly tell you, but whatever fantasy they had in their head is just mind-blowing, man. Like, these are the least effective climate change activists of all time. Like, it's getting to the point where every time I read shit like this, I'm starting to hope we die in a climate catastrophe. You know what I mean? Like, God, at this point, bro, if you're gonna take me out in a fucking 300-degree heat wave, bro, just do it, man. I can't take this anymore. These people are too fucking stupid for me, man. So, I don't know. I just really wanted to cover this because it's insane to me. Like, these people are making the most ridiculous, ludicrous demands possible for people who are just unwanted in the first place. So,
It's like going...
thank you guys for watching. If you didn't...
It's like handcuffing yourself to somebody and demanding them to, like, not be attached to you. Like, you dumbass, you caused everything. You could have avoided this with all one swift action on your part, but yet your idiocy has just proven itself to be ever so prevalent. Oh my god, these guys are stupid. Another painting vandalized by activists? Seriously.
Moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, your day can be full of reminders of your condition. You are made for UC or Crohn's.
No,
Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're taking a look at another similar situation to something we covered just a few days ago here on the channel. I don't know if you guys remember the video I made a couple days ago where the climate change activists threw like a couple cans of tomato soup on one of Vincent van Gogh's most famous paintings, Sunflowers. The painting was worth millions upon millions of dollars. Thankfully, it was behind like a layer of protective glass, and the painting wasn't really damaged. There was like minor damage to the frame, I think. But another situation like this has unfolded, and it appears that this probably won't be the last, if I had to guess. I mean, if they've done it once and then done it twice, I can only assume that if they have the opportunity to, they're going to do it a third time. It seems like these kinds of things inspire, like, copycat attacks. I don't know, I feel like that sounds a little weird, you know? That sounds like I'm talking about, like, legit terrorism or something, right? But on a very real note, this is something pretty serious, because what we're taking a look at today is what people are calling a mashed potato attack on a 100.
How dare you waste mashed potatoes? I'm angry already.
This took place in Germany. I'm not sure which climate change group is actually behind this one. The last one, it was from like Just Stop Oil or something like that. But yeah, these climate change activists did something pretty similar to the other ones, right? They just went up and threw this shit all over a painting, and then they glued themselves to the wall/floor and just screamed about climate change until, of course, probably I would just have to assume the police came and arrested them. I don't appropriate to get these people out of the art museum, you know, like just letting them walk free, I don't think is the answer. They are attempting to vandalize paintings worth tens of millions of dollars, so I think just letting them walk free after that is pretty insane. So I can only imagine that they get arrested for like breaking or disturbing the peace, things like that, public nuisances, things along those lines, right? Like not super serious charges, maybe vandalism, that's a little bit more severe, but yeah, obviously these people are breaking the law, they're committing crimes. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the footage here and see exactly what's going on. But first, here's a word from the sponsor of today's video, myself. I just want to take a few seconds to show you our new Optimus mouse pads. These are premium mouse pads at a much more affordable price. Corsair and Razer charge $50 for a similar mouse pad, but you can get one of any of ours in any of these awesome styles starting at only $20. Don't run out of mouse pad going for your next flick. Grab an Optimus mouse pad and elevate your setup today. Use the code on screen for 10% off your order at the link down below.
What a bunch of assholes. Person takes gun, shoots child. People are getting shot over the world for unnecessary reasons. Proceeds to shoot child again. These guys are these guys are tards. No better way to describe it. These guys are full-on tards. Well, we're not gonna be able to feed our families if you keep throwing that shit on the paintings, so, attack them!
Alright, so they have this big, like, manifesto moment where they get to spring out the points that they have in this entire thing, right? And they basically did this because of climate change. You know, nothing says take climate change seriously like vandalizing paintings and random art museums about it. And nothing really, you know, makes people like care about climate change like that, you know? I don't know, man. I am one of the people I do believe in climate change. You know, a lot of people don't. They don't believe in science and stuff like that. I do. I do think it's a legitimate issue in society that we do need to address. But I'm also one of the people who believes in something called right place, right time, right circumstances. And basically what that invokes is maybe the best way of spreading a message of taking climate change seriously isn't throwing fucking mashed potatoes at random paintings in galleries, you know? Like, maybe there's a couple better ways that we can think of, that we can fucking brainstorm in a little session to get people to take climate change a little bit more seriously. And I think it's also, like, if you know anything about the climate change argument, like, it's not people don't take climate change seriously, right? Because there's a shit ton of people who do take it seriously, right? Like, there's people like me who believe in climate change wholeheartedly, you know? Like, and that it is a real issue that needs to be stopped. A lot of the times, it's like massive corporations and like government figures.
No kidding. Yep, there you go.
About climate change. Like, I read something that says like 100 of the largest companies on the planet are basically responsible for like 70% of all CO2 emissions.
I've heard that too.
You start going to their headquarters and fucking protesting them. You know what I mean? Like, go to their headquarters and fucking pick a sign outside or something. Like, that is an infinitely more productive use of not only your time, but of the resources available to you. And one thing I want to point out that I think is stupid ironic about this, right? They go on to say, like, oh, people are fucking starving around the world and all people care about are these paintings. You know what I mean? These paintings won't be worth anything if people all starve to death and die from climate change. They say as they waste food by throwing mashed potatoes on a painting. Nothing says pay attention to the people starving around the world by, like, throwing a fucking bag of mashed potatoes at a painting, right? You know, like, where's the thought process? Nothing really fucking pieces together about this. It's like saying, hey, car accidents are a very serious thing by swerving your car into oncoming traffic and taking the family of 3 out the other lane, right? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it's literally so counterintuitive that it goes against everything you're saying, right? They're, like, low-key exposing themselves as massive hypocrites through this whole situation. And it's,
I hate hypocrisy.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I know the whole situation isn't really funny because at the end of the day, they are vandalizing, like, pieces of, like, the cultural fabric of society. But, like, their lack of self-awareness is just fucking mind-boggling, man. You know, like, these people have no idea that they really are just being hypocrites. They have no idea that the message that they're spreading isn't a good one. They really think...
Today, let's paint with Bear Dynasty so that you can be proud of your walls. Where's your furniture?
Think that they're like the main characters, that they're like the fucking saviors of society. There's people who've like burned themselves alive type shit over climate change. There's been scientists who've set themselves on fire. Now that's a martyr for a cause, you know what I mean? Someone fucking taking a thing of gasoline, dousing themselves in it, and fucking setting themselves on fire. Now when that guy talks, I'm gonna listen, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna listen to some fucking slowpoke idiots who threw mashed potatoes on some painting in Germany, you know what I mean? Like, go fuck yourself. That's just the way I personally think about things, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just coming from my personal perspective, if anything, right? I don't know, I don't really take this as seriously as I should, right? When it comes to their message, because, once again, I feel like the vast majority of people in these societies, at least like Germany, you know what I mean? We've all heard of climate change. We all know it's a problem. Like, all of us are like, hoping that there's a solution to the problem. But, like, what is this doing for anyone? What is this solving for anyone? realistically, I think we all know what this is. These people want attention. They want themselves on camera. They want to be famous. They want to be in the newspaper. They want to say that they're a martyr for a cause. And it's just simply not the case. They're not a martyr for a cause. They're not famous. They're not successful. They're not good. You know what I mean? These are just assholes. That's all they are. They're assholes. And I guess maybe me making videos about stuff like this maybe gives them more attention, and people kind of reacting to these situations, it gives them more attention, and it kind of emboldens them to do it more. But like, these people need to be called fucking idiots. Like, these people need to be told that what they're doing is stupid and counterintuitive and just overall counterproductive. Because for some reason they have this idea in their head that what they're doing is like morally righteous and it's like a good thing to be doing. When obviously, I think the vast majority of people watching this video are going to be able to look at this and be like, hey, these people are just in the wrong. Anyway, man, I just wanted to make a video and talk about how another painting got owned for climate change, because I guess this is how we act in 2022. This is how the world works. This is how people behave. Anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. We have our new Optimus mouse pads down there. Make sure to go grab you one of those. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about this mashed potato painting attack, and signing out.
Let's try to find something to watch.
If Philly Garcia listened to those who rejected him,
I'm trying to find something I want to watch. I can't. The worst Netflix film ever? I don't know.
With Columbia at Kohl's, you'll find high-quality gear, affordable pricing,
Mario plushie with a little zip-up hoodie. Listen. This drop took ages to make, and it is the most happy I've ever been with any merch I've done ever. Even the website has had a huge overhaul. It looks amazing. Please buy some. I would love your money. Link down in the description. Thank you for your purchase. No plushie pyro. Don't take the hoodie off. Now they'll know what you look like naked. No! There's been many mysteries in the universe that to this day have gone unanswered. Is there life beyond Earth? Will the PlayStation 5 ever get any games? And most importantly, what is Netflix's worst movie? And I'm not talking about some cringy teen romance or kids animated movie. I'm talking about statistically the lowest rated film Netflix currently has on its platform. Most of you would think a more recent release like Resident Evil, a show so bad that they basically axed it without it getting a second season, or Kissing Booth, a film series that's basically Tall Girl without the Tall Girl, which somehow spawned 2 sequels.
Right now.
You gonna open a drawer right there and they'll put it
Right
out?
here? Do I really?
Now, I don't want to go too hard on Netflix. They've actually had decent projects, like The Platform I talked about a couple of years ago. Something that if you type my name into the Netflix search bar will actually come up with, right next to Breaking Bad. I wonder why. Now, to find the worst film on Netflix, we need a checklist. Firstly, it has to be something Netflix produced or now owns the rights to. So basically, it has to have that little N watermark in the corner. Anything they bought as a time release doesn't count. And also, I'm not talking about something controversial or divisive. It needs to be something everyone, or at least the mass majority, hated. So I'll be using a combination of Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. You can argue that they're both not very reliable, but if not that, then I'd have to go onto Reddit and ask there. And I think over there, they're too busy talking about how amazing the new Marvel show was. After days of research, I finally found it. Truly the worst, lowest rated film ever released by Netflix. And its name? Drive. That's right, Ryan Gosling fans. Your film sucks. And even having Walter White in it couldn't save its horrendous rating. I'm joking, of course. Instead, talking about the Indian film Drive, released in 2019. Now, where the American Drive was an action drama film, the drama being the guy that everyone in their late teens and mid-20s says, OMG, he's literally me. Drive 2019 is instead an action heist film. And believe me, there's loads of action. Like this CGI car that looks like it's from a PS2 game.
Hey, come on over, have some fun with Crazy Taxi.
That was something called Gritty. There's tons of close quarters, hand-to-hand combat. Now, one thing I have to get out of the way, obviously the film is Indian, and there's an entirely different culture in India. One thing you may have noticed with a lot of Indian cinematography is it's way more dramatic. There's loads of memes on YouTube of just showing all these quick pan zoom-ins. And honestly, this film, even though it's a film, not a TV show, is incredibly similar.
What's happened with the system setting? Why did all the cameras freeze?
I don't have a driver's license. I think the opening shot is a great example of the special effects we're going to experience for the ride. A text scroll that looks like it's from Star Wars, the fake nitrous boost coming out the back of the car that disappears in the next shot, only to be greeted by a title that looks like it was made in a Halo 3 Forge map. We're introduced to the big shot leading this racing group, saying it's the final race of the night and the winner will get $500,000.
The winner will take home $500,000.
But it doesn't specify what currency this is. Let's assume it's the Indian rupee, so 500,000 is just over $6,000. They boot up a projector showing the race, and what I love is how it has this racing game HUD on the screen, like the placement of cars and even a mini-map at the bottom right. Like, what car is it going to track? This doesn't make any sense. And if you think I'm looking at video game references, please just watch this seamless transition.
This race will start from India Gate, go via Sutton Road and end at the warehouse right in front of you. All the way.
You start seeing the race in action, and remember when I mentioned how invasive the cuts can be? Take
Oh my god.
I'm gonna pause it here, but you now have liver cirrhosis and should contact your local doctor. It's probably one of the hardest scenes to follow, especially after the list of cars on the left side of the screen halves for no reason. All to be finished off with an MLG air horn sound. Brave shadow legends. Even more confusing when both drivers get out, both women. Now, this is meant to be like a bait and switch because you saw the guys driving the cars, but it was actually these women in the race all along. But because it was never communicated to us that...
That's kind of weird. I guess they're like clownfish, they can change their gender on the go. I didn't know that was possible in humans. I guess it does happen. Plots are kind of weird in my opinion. You're gonna tell me now that we can morph into a dog?
All the audience see is two people transition in the space of 3 minutes. Then there's a huge musical intro called Karma is a Bitch, which I agree with. The fact that I've had to watch this film multiple times from start to finish is the exact price to pay for my sins. After the intro, the film starts with some CGI police cars driving through
Yes.
the street. Not sure why you couldn't have just got normal cars. If anything, it's probably cheaper, but alright. Getting out of the car is Viva Singh. Now, she's a corrupt bureaucrat who persuades her clients into giving her the percentages of money which is usually stolen in the first place. Guess I better find a Dropbox. You can tell because every single conversation she has, she mentions
All I want is a 40% share. Sure, I could give you a 40% share. Make it be a 30% fine and 50% tax. 40% is fine with me.
So this is when the plot becomes Evangelion levels of confusing. So I'll try to summarize it. Viva is corrupt. She has a henchman called Hamid, the one who was beating that guy for her. Viva is contacted by the Prime Minister's right-hand man, Imran, who's also corrupt. Imran explains that jewelers had £600 of gold stolen from them. But the thieves messed up the heist, which is shown by one of them not even putting in a number combination on the lock, but just presses the up and OK arrow. Apparently, the thieves did this on purpose because it alerted the jewelers that break in and the police. I just love the jeweler has this huge iPad with a 3D render of a safe on it, and just to make things more confusing, another rival gang of thieves shows up to stop the original thief just to have an excuse for this fight scene that has 3 different camera angles. Then the police show up to arrest the original robber, all repeating the exact same sound file of one guy saying hands up, only for the thief to snap his fingers to reveal all the cops were part of his gang all along, with the actual police being diverted elsewhere. I don't even know if I should be angry or not about having about 7 plot twists in a 3-minute montage. This master robber is called the King, and leaves a calling card at every robbery telling the police where his next robbery will be. And his robbery for this hit will be the presidential palace. But this brings up like so many questions. If the police always know where he's going to strike, why don't they have any kind of police presence? There was no one waiting for the jewelers, and the police must have known that he was going to hit that place next. And also, why does the presidential palace look like it's from a Mortal Kombat cutscene? So you can probably guess this film is going to be a Robin Hood type beat, with the king thief stealing from the rich to give to the poor, or themselves. Mostly because his next hit will be in the palace, and we know that Vibha, who works there, is corrupt. But, I don't know guys, there could be another 4D chess move for the writers here. I mean, the king has a balaclava on. Surely that means he's the bad guy. Yeah, Ifran then explains after a
He looks like one of those dudes from Just Cause 3 with the hoodies.
which leads Hamid to make the motion like he's watching the news with sign language on. This comes full circle when Ifram finds out the car tire tracks belong to the girl from the intro race, Tara, who apparently runs a black market company, which then introduces us to her gang. And I'm so happy to mention that Beaky is part of her gang, probably the best character in the whole film. His name is Beaky.
He's a fixer. Be it cars or electronics, he can fix anything. He has only one bad habit. Gambling.
I just love love how they show him being a fixer, you know, something that can have pretty heavy connotations in the crime world, like being a hitman for hire, but it just shows him fixing a hoverboard and riding it. I assumed he'd be fixing a bike as well or something, but no, he's just doing what every 12-year-old dream is. Another race starts, which introduces us to Samar, the protagonist of the film. You can tell because even though he lost the race, he's still being cheered on while the poorest CGI I've ever seen in my life plays.
Are there not even backlights to it?
Now, while researching the film, I found out that Samar was played by Sushant Singh Rajput, known for his work in Hindi cinema, and appeared in loads of financially successful films like Chichore and Kedarnath. You probably haven't heard of these films because most of my audience is from the West. He started off at an engineering course before dropping out to pursue theatre and climbing from there. Unfortunately, he died from suicide in June 2020, only 36 years old. This was a huge thing in India because SSR had an enormous following. It even trickled into the Western world with people like PewDiePie covering it 2 years ago. He seemed like a genuinely charismatic and caring person, even admitting himself that he was an introvert and whenever he's outgoing, he's just playing a character. And during the speech he gave in 2016, admitting that he was pretty nervous, which is humbling. SSR was down to earth. He admitted that money wasn't the cause of happiness, and more importantly, being at the top of the ladder does not bring true happiness. Money and fame is something you'll always be chasing.
I was promised happiness, and I was promised success. But all these things stayed with me just for a few days. I'm punctuating me because I started from zero money and zero revenue. So I was not having.
May your score be below par and your heart seltzer be well above it. I do.
It's honestly so interesting to hear someone who's considered the golden boy of India to be so candid and honest about his experiences, not sugarcoating everything. Now, it might seem disrespectful making fun of this film after mentioning this, but if anything, we're not making fun of SSR, but more how much of a dumpster fire this film would be with or without his involvement. And I think it would have been pretty disrespectful to not include this information because he's the lead of the film, and honestly, it tries the most out of the entire cast. SSR's character, Samar, is a Formula 1 test driver, bragging that he can beat Tara's gang in a street race, being offered a small amount of cash if he wins, but passes a speech check to increase the amount.
Hey, anybody can win a street race by a second, but you, I'm going to beat you by a whole minute. I bet 50,000 on that.
If you're so confident, then why bet for 50,000? Let's make it 500,000.
Another race starts there. Looks like it was rendered on a PlayStation 2 or Nintendo Switch. But before Samar can win, he's stopped by a checkpoint, and out of all the questions they ask him, it's this.
How drunk are you? Turn off the engine, show me a paper.
You're gonna ask a guy if he's been drinking when he's been driving better than 99% of all professional drivers ever. I don't even think most sober people can make turns and drifts like that, so why ask him if he's been drinking? It looks like he's about to be busted.
Nah, man's on shrooms.
And they let him go. But unfortunately now, he's double boned, because not only does he have to return the car, but also the 500,000 prize money, because he technically lost the race.
Your sweet ass is mine.
Is that a camera?
Oh yeah. The bone.
Samar instead chooses to hook himself up with his camera to prove to the gang he has the talents to get the car back.
I needed to make an urgent call. My phone battery is dying. I need to call my mom. Can I please call your phone?
Yes, of course. Here you go.
Just take a second. I'll be right here.
That's fine, no problem.
I like how the whole time he's carrying a camera around, probably the size of a GoPro, so everyone back at base can see what he's up to, but no one on the street can seem to notice it except him, despite it looking like he's doing some kind of Casey Neistat YouTube vlog. He uses the cop's phone to call the corrupt cop that took his car, acting like he's the press and he's been busted. Now, how did Samar know the corrupt cop's phone number? No idea. You can even see him put it in himself. But regardless, it spooked the cops so much that he leaves in his car, which he's kept in the front porch of his house, by the way, even though he has no paperwork for it. You'd think with a recently stolen car and as a member of authority, you try to be a bit more discreet. He drives the car to the exact place Samar is hiding, leaving the keys inside the ignition so he can just walk a whole 3 yards and yoink the car. I know this film is rated the lowest Netflix original ever, but like you have to love the plot convenience of this scene. We cut back to Viva and her people trying to find all the gang's details so they can extort them later, which cuts to the traditional Bollywood sliding montage, with some of the clips even slowed down because apparently they were too lazy to do a double take. Reminds me of me making daily commentary videos. Not like I do that anymore, my content is evolved so much. Hold on a minute, we need to support the great country of India. I have an idea. Now, listen up. I've done so many of these ad reads, I need to actually educate you more than sold as a Schiller product. How else am I going to be able to afford that Egyptian cotton tally body cologne? Now, does anyone know why cybersecurity is important? Happens.
Joker?
That is your card, right?
But where did the king go?
Right in front of you.
There's no way Samar can be the king. Impossible, ignoring the fact the guy earlier was the exact same build and height. Tara's gang fly to Israel with Samar as kind of a holiday to have some time off. And if you look at the B-roll, you could just stick an Airbnb watermark in the corner and you wouldn't know any better. I assume it's to show Samar is getting closer with the gang, but it acts like these people have been together since childhood. But again, like I said, subtlety is not this film's strong suit. And this isn't a quick 1-minute montage either to communicate a time jump. This goes on for a whole 5 minutes. We come to Beaver's group, still trying to track down Tara's ring of smugglers, and have a eureka moment discovering how they've been able to communicate with each other all along and not catch the eye of any cybersecurity or police.
That's why I always delete these messages without even opening them. So how they predict your future, my little genius? That is in my hand. That's it. No one ever looks at marketing messages. These people are talking to each other through these random marketing messages. Come on, throw me onto this.
I mean, couldn't they have just used a protected email server? A dark web browser? Even dead drops? I feel this is really poorly secure, just banking on the fact that no one clicks a dodgy link. Factor old people into this as well, who basically hand over their entire life savings to a man saying he's a Nigerian prince. And it's amazing how this process has lasted as long as it has. This leads to another montage where a bunch of texts appear. I'm not going to dwell on this too much because you know how much I hate these. It's a lazy way to communicate information. Logan Paul's film did it. I don't need to say anything else. Tara's group then start to get suspicious texts. I assume they are because when she looks at her phone, it's not in English, so I have no idea what anything says apart from getting the top apps of 2019. I really shouldn't have done this, but I ran it through Google Translate, and keep in mind, this is Google Translate, so it's probably not correct at all, but it came back with the shadow of the infidel eyes has returned the destination. Today the intentions are deep. Now your soul is the only sorrow here, which is the exact same thing you hear a lot.
Tell me what I don't. Just don't like, you know. What? From writer director Martin McDonagh, Benji's is one of the year's best.
Hard to say, RP. The bad guys intercept the message and translate it into the location of the King's Gold. They also mention that they have an undercover agent working in Tara's gang.
No matter how fast they drive you.
Damn, I wonder who that unseen guy is. Surely not the same person with headphones earlier, acting suspiciously.
But this girl isn't gonna trust anyone so easily. There is one guy who I know can definitely win this girl.
Do I need to say anything? I like how these flashbacks seem back operation. Thumbnail. Oh yeah, and Samar is the king, by the way. Yeah, I mean, we knew that was coming, so I'm not gonna act surprised. I love this part where they have Tara's gang cornered and they just let them reverse and drive away. You can even see one of them firing their gun with the muzzle flash going off, but it doesn't even play a sound. The cops shots in Pursuit also have these neon visors, making them look like a cyberpunk fan film. Anyway, all of Tara's gang escapes, but to get away, they had to leave the gold behind. Honestly, looking at it, I'm convinced they're just spray-painted bricks. Also, to make the plot even more convoluted, Samar isn't really the king, even though he is.
I should be honest with you. I'm not the real king.
What?
No, I did the burglaries. I just
I'm not even sure if the king is a real person at this point. It's just the equivalent of robbing a bank and leaving a post-it note of some random kid's address saying they did it. Lol. Tara then explains that she actually wanted the gold to be stolen because the cameras inside will show Viper's corrupt money laundering operation. So essentially, it took over an hour to get into Act 2 of the story. You know, the heist part of the film, the entire point of the film, the selling point. But at the same time,
Yep.
how can I be mad with scene transitions like this? There's a montage where they forge identities and signatures to get into the building on the day, but the most morally questionable action is how Samar wants one of the girls to pose as a Make-A-Wish Foundation volunteer.
I'm going to pose as a volunteer for the Last Wish Foundation. The CRPF guards will not allow the two of you inside, because your paperwork will be incomplete.
I mean, I understand she's only a volunteer, not pretending to be a terminally ill person, but, you know, they're the good guys, they wouldn't do that.
But why will you allow them in without the right paperwork?
Because I doubt anyone would have the heart to refuse. Last wish of a dying man.
Our heroes, everyone. Morally questionable heroes, but again, like I said, it's only a volunteer.
Is that the two?
Oh my god,
Oh
no,
boy.
never mind. They're actually going to pretend that he's terminally ill. I like how they get the most jacked guy to do it as well. There's something deeply wrong about this, especially how in the cutaway CGI, he's represented by a wheelchair moving around the building. Tara also goes in disguise, offering people food to distract them enough to get access for the rest of the group. Surprisingly, no hitches here, because something similar happened in Breaking Bad, and that didn't end too well. The group then start releasing rats to confuse everyone, somehow looking worse than Ratatouille on the Nintendo Wii. I also like the drastic difference in reaction from people. Down in the kitchens, they're terrified, but on the upper floor, they act like nothing's wrong, not even acknowledging the rats. They pose as pest control and are given complete and total access through the whole building, which makes the past steps of getting fake IDs completely redundant. But unfortunately, the entire heist was a complete waste of time because they don't get to the money and they nearly get mazed. That's mostly because if this heist was successful, the film would only be an hour long. God, I wish. Also, this is when the plot twists get, like, so ridiculously confusing. There are, like, double and triple agents here. So, remember that guy that got bitch slapped at the start of the film? He's been working with Tara's gang all along, deleting them from CCTV.
Aye.
No trace of them.
Aye.
And they show this by him, like, bumping into people. Like, that's his only character trait. He's not planning anything on them. He's just bumping into people. They react in the most rational way possible. Like, after the failed heist, Samar and Tara fall in love, and this starts a Bollywood music video. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm not hating, but it really does just come out of nowhere. You can really feel at this point the writers didn't really know what to do, and they kind of just wanted the film to be over with, to the point where Samar is explaining a follow-up heist, and when he's explaining all the details, it just speeds up the footage without even being able to hear what he's saying.
So now, listen good.
They break into the presidential building again, this time under the guise as building CCTV because their hacker boy's been detained. And the way around this, to trick security, knowing that they're going to be watched, is to keep insanely still, to trick them, thinking the camera feed is glitched out, so they reboot the entire system. And they all do a pretty good job, except this guy, who looks like he's about to burst out crying. Security then turn the cameras off, and I'm not talking about just turning them off and on. No, they have to reboot the entire system and server. And then if this bizarre heist film wasn't enough, they seem to turn it into a horror film with Viva going into the basement to secure the money and being attacked. She's the villain, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Discounts are below MSRP.
Alright, I'm gonna take a break after I eat my dinner. I'm going to start working on that. I'm back. So I need to do this. I don't know if this is it's either this is the second to last one I need to do, or it's the last one I need to do. Whatever it is, it does look like it'll be way too hard. Oh, never mind. That was a good one. Mm-mm-mm. I need to clear out this area. I doubt this is the last one I have to fabricate, but I hope it is. I know I fabricated at least 2 last night. And you go bathroom.
Hi.
This one should already be done. Yeah, I can see it. Alright, I'm going to the next one. If this one on down this road is done, then we are done paving. I don't think we did the chambers on this solo, but I'll do that another time. What? I'm done for the day. Hi. I'm out.